And welcome back to the show, everybody. Seth Kames is over there. I'm Sean Palmer over here. Seth and Sean Sports Radio here on StreamYard. We have a two-part show today. First part will be kind of NCAA tournament picks, along with a little bit sprinkled of the NFL. I am wearing my green because for the first time in a while, I am actually happy to be a Jets fan. And then the second half of the show I will be joined. Seth needs to take a little departure. I will be joined by my brother, Mitch. We will go through everything that is hockey related because, as he will tell you, he does not follow any sports other than hockey. And he's in Arizona, of all places. Programming note, starting next week, we will be moving to Tuesdays. Woohoo! You're on mute. I can't hear you at all. So if you're speaking.
Tuesdays?
You can't do it Wednesday, so we're doing Tuesday.
I actually don't know. I may be able to do Wednesdays. The whole schedule is getting switched.
All right. Well, programming note, we don't know. So stay tuned like every other week you'll see it on Facebook, you'll see it on Twitter. We will be at this time. It's just a matter of which day we will be doing it on. So whenever Carly decides to let us know what the schedule is like, we will let you know. It's kind of a subcontractor. We have Carly. Anyway, I would actually, the funny thing is, I think Carly would take offense to being a subcontractor. We are the subcontractor. Carly is the prime.
There you go.
All right. So, first of all, let's talk a little NFL news for about 5 minutes.
Bask in your glow. You got a 1-year deal. Exactly what you wanted.
Exactly what I wanted. No, actually, I got 3 things that I wanted in the last 2 weeks. One, CJ Mosley pulled back his salary, guaranteed salary, and agreed to an extension for another year. Probably the best middle linebacker we have had in I don't know how long, and one of my favorite players. So that's number 1. Happy to see that. Number 2, we got a wide receiver. Hopefully he's healthy. Look, everything about these next 2 guys is dependent on health. But much like most of the NFL, there is not a lot of backup capability that can fit in. So I'll take what I got, right? I'll look at what I got on paper and be happy with it. Mike Williams is exactly what Garrett Wilson needs in a number 2. Stretches the field. Hopefully that's all he does because he's the most injury-prone receiver in the NFL. And anytime he goes over the middle, I feel like he's going to be decapitated. So, number 2. Number 3, probably the best left tackle outside of Trent Williams in the last 20 years. Now, granted, he's the 33-year-old version of himself, but still better than anything we've had in a very long time. Tyron Smith moves from Dallas on a very reasonable contract. I'm not sure if you saw the contract.
6.5 guaranteed up to 20.
So the only way that he hits 20 is if he plays 97% of all the plays over the course of the season. Okay? Most players do not play 97%. And certainly most 33-year-old injury-prone left tackles do not play 90. Look, if I can get 75%, I am a happy camper out of him. If I can get 3/4 of the plays and he is healthy for the playoffs, I am a happy getting Tyron Smith. It also allows the Jets to look in many different ways towards the draft. You're not setting a wideout. You're not setting a tackle. I hope they take a tackle. I really do. You got
it still seems like a reasonable position. Brock Bowers may be back in play now for you.
Correct, which is not value at all. So if you're going to get Brock Bowers, trade down to 15 or 16 if it's available. Who knows if it is? But look, I'm happy with what Joe Douglas played off of the, discount line, which he normally does. But this time, successfully off the discount line. We're not.
Look, you can't blame him, regardless of whether it works or not. These are logical, reasonable moves.
And they brought back Morgan Moses. So, granted, he just had surgery. So, but the fact that you're right, this solidifies 1 through 5 on the line. This solidifies your number 2 spot as a wideout. That's name is not Alan Lazard. Thank God. And they have a middle linebacker, which has proven when healthy, and he has been predominantly healthy, to be one of the best 5 middle linebackers in football.
This allows you to go for the best player available at 10.
That's right. And it may be a wideout if one of them falls. It may be a tackle. It may be a tight end. But man, if you take a tight end at 10,
we haven't seen the value. I mean, think of the tight ends who've gone this high.
Kyle Pitts, Evan Ingram.
Evan Ingram.
That's it.
I mean, nice play. Evan Ingram went up that high?
I think he went 11 or 12. Like, it wasn't that high, but I'm saying in that range, right? And then Kyle Brady was 9. I mean, going back a ways.
And Derek Brown and Johnny Mitchell.
Johnny Mitchell with 13 and 14, right? Something in there.
Something like that, yeah. There's never been – the value has never been substantiated at the top 10 to 15 level. No, what this allows you to do is you can take the best player available. And look, if a wide receiver falls and you have I think that you don't have a second round pick this year.
So by the way, so Eric Ebron went 10th, TJ Hawkinson went 8th, Kellen Winslow Jr. went 6th, Vernon Davis went 6th, Kyle Pitts went 4th. I didn't recall him going 4th. Those are the top 5 ever, and none of them are worth the value of that.
No, they were good players. Vernon Davis was a good player. Kellen Winslow Jr. was a good player, but did not validate a top 10 pick.
Correct. So anyway, with that in mind, I am a happy camper being a Jets fan today. Now, talk to me on the 5th play of the 2024-2025 season. And you know what? I might be not such
when Tyrod Taylor is throwing to
better than Zach Wilson. Better than Zach Wilson. But I mean, I don't think the Justin Fields trade went through before last week's call. So we talked about Russell Wilson being in Pittsburgh, but Justin Fields being in Pittsburgh, I love it. I love what Pittsburgh bought low.
Why not? You're taking a flyer you're taking a flyer.
Here's the thing that I see. Is it possible that Justin Fields gets traded to Minnesota?
Could be.
I mean, the one thing that did not look, if you were the Bears, you couldn't trade him to Minnesota, right? You couldn't trade him within the division. That wasn't going to happen.
No.
But now, if you have a conditional 6th round pick, which turns into a 4th, right? If he gets traded to Minnesota, you have to assume that he's their starting quarterback.
So I would think so.
You have to get at least a 4th out of that, right? Because you have to recompense the 4th. But let's say you get a 3rd. I mean, especially if Sam Darnold gets hurt in preseason and you could trade him to Minnesota for a 3rd round pick, you win. This is a win. And you kind of screw over the Bears, but what do you care?
You're the Steelers.
You're the Steelers, exactly. And you have the ability to trade either Fields or Russell Wilson. I mean, you could even cut Russell Wilson for $1.5 million. I mean, if Russell Wilson doesn't pan out and he becomes the ass that I believe he would be if he got benched. I really do. I think that guy would be an awful second quarterback for any team. Cut him. Who cares? Doesn't really matter. He's making the minimum anyway. All right. Moving on to NCAA tournament time, or should we just call it the NCAA portal time? Because I'm not really sure which one I care more about. Is how many of my guys are leaving, or what teams I pick in the tournament, because 17 teams declined playing in the NIT. And part of that is a result of, I'm not going to have enough players to play because I don't understand the portal reopening on March 18th. I don't get it. Why not wait until all these tournaments are done?
I mean, what if one of the players, what if Terrence Shannon's sick of hearing the crap from Illinois? and decides on after a second round game, he wants to leave.
Right. That's what I'm saying, right? I mean,
But his team could still be in the tournament.
Now, I could see the rationale being I don't want to play in the tournament, either one of the tournaments, because I'm going to get hurt. And if I get hurt, I can't transfer. And if I can't I was preparing to be in the portal. I get that part. And that makes sense to me. But that's the only
college basketball has become a joke.
Yep. And
I mean, have you ever thought you would see the day where the women's tournament is more interesting than the guys?
Nope. But it is.
It is.
I mean,
it is the least I have ever looked forward to an NCAA tournament.
Yeah, I mean, I picked it because I'm in a pool, and
that's it.
So I made my picks for two reasons. First of all, I'm in one pool for charity, which 50% goes to charity, 50% hopefully will come to me, which will never happen because I've never won an NCAA pool. And the other one was actually my favorite type of pool. First time I've ever in this. You've probably heard this. You get one team in the 64, and it's based on spread. So we got Samford of all teams, right? So Samford is a 7-point underdog, a 7.5 point underdog against Kansas. If they cover the spread, you get the team that wins. So as an underdog, so then I get Kansas or Samford for the next round, and then it plays again. So it doesn't matter which of the 64 teams you get, you're playing the spread. It's Gamblers Anonymous 101.
Pretty much.
But it gives you a reason to watch a Samford Kansas game, of which I have absolutely – it kind of reminds me of the movie Hardball, where I got to watch just for spreads, because which you have never seen. I know this just by the look on your face. Keanu Reeves. Baseball, Keanu Reeves. Anyway, that being said, all right, so we got about 18 minutes left of this segment of the show. Seth, give me some upsets if you have any in the 64. I got a couple myself. Or have you not even?
I guess I'll start with Samford over Kansas.
Yes, I got them too.
Well, you have no choice.
No. It's the spread. Remember, I could take the spread. It's -7. So if Kansas wins by less than 7, I move on. I just get Kansas.
Okay, I have upsets. I have Samford over Kansas. I have McNeese State over Gonzaga.
I do not.
I have New Mexico over Clemson.
Wait. New Mexico over Clemson. Which side is that? Oh, that's on the bottom left. I do not. I have Clemson going to the Elite Eight. Okay.
And I have James Madison over Wisconsin. Those are my 4 big significant upsets.
All right. So I got Colorado State over Texas, 10-7, no big deal. Oregon over South Carolina, which is an 11-6. I'll take that.
I have Oregon too. Yeah.
Samford as well. I have Nevada over Dayton. Again, not a huge leap. Grand Canyon over St. Mary's. That's a 12 over 5. What else do I have? I have Duquesne over BYU. It's an 11-6. I have UAB over San Diego State. Again, a 12-5, because for some reason I always pick UAB because I never knew what they were called when I was younger. So I was like, oh, UAB and UTEP sound like interesting teams. I'll just pick them. And they were always the teams that were like 25-10, right? Like they had so many wins that you were like, this team can't be bad. All right. And on the other side, I have NC State over Texas Tech. NC State riding a big wave coming into the tournament. And that's it. So, all right, give me your Elite Eight. Where do you got for 8? Let's go. Let's stay in the top right bracket with Houston as the 1.
This is the most boring one I've ever done. Houston over Marquette.
That's not the 8. Oh, that is the 8, I guess. Sorry, 16 I meant.
Okay, I have Houston over James Madison. I have Marquette over Kentucky.
You have Madison beating Wisconsin and then beating Duke?
There you go.
Wow. Okay. I have Duke. I have Houston, Duke, and Marquette. And I have Duke and NC State, which is not very, but whatever.
You're an ACC homer. Your
What's
conference
that?
stinks. Did you, your conference stinks? Did you watch
I
Virginia
know my
last
conference.
night?
I know my conference. Well, Virginia plays in like the 1920s without a shot clock. So is that really fair? I mean,
They went
for 10,
14 minutes without a basket.
for 10, they go 14 minutes without a basket every game, but they never give up a basket in 14 minutes. So it really doesn't matter. All right. All right, let's go down to Purdue's bracket. So I don't even know. This is the Midwest. Okay, what do you got for the Midwest?
Purdue over Samford, Creighton over Colorado State. Purdue
So
over
A,
Creighton.
I love the Purdue over Stanford because that means I'm making money. So I'm liking that. I have Purdue over Gonzaga, and then I have Creighton over Tennessee. Okay, I have in the West Arizona over Clemson. You have Clemson out in the first round, so that's where we're probably gonna have a big difference. And I have North Carolina over Alabama. You're gonna hate me because I have North Carolina in the finals when my conference sucks, supposedly.
I have North Carolina over Alabama, and I have Arizona over New Mexico.
Okay. I have Connecticut over Yale. Yes, I got the Yaleys because why not? With this year, I got no clue. And I got Illinois over Iowa State. And again, I don't know why I have Illinois either because Illinois perpetually disappoints in the tournament, except for 1 year where they happen to beat you.
Okay, I have UConn over Auburn. I have Iowa State over Illinois.
Okay, so my final four is UConn, North Carolina, Duke, and Purdue. I went real hard here. I have 3 1s and a 4.
It's better than I did. I have UConn, Houston, Purdue, and Arizona. I have 3 1s and a 2. It's the most boring one I've ever picked.
And I got Purdue winning the whole thing.
Over
UNC.
And I have Arizona over Houston in the final.
Another boring.
It's the final FU to the Pac-10.
Wait, I got a better question. Do you know any? So you had Houston over who?
Purdue.
Do you know anybody on either of those two teams?
Sure. LJ Snead is on Houston.
LJ Snead is on the Kansas City Chiefs.
No, the other the transfer, whatever his name is.
That's no. You're making my point. You're completely making my point that they're the number 1 team in the country, right? Houston.
Yeah. Okay.
And you can't
Jamal Sheed. I apologize.
Right, but my point is that you were absolutely making my point. I got Connecticut, North Carolina, Duke, and Purdue. And I can't name one guy on any of these 4 teams.
You can't name this. Oh my God, I'm forgetting his name.
The guy
center
on Duke,
from Purdue,
power forward on Duke, or is it the power forward in North Carolina?
No, the center from Purdue, National Player of the Year, Eddie.
Again, this is my point.
No, I know. I just can't think of it. I'm just blanking.
This is how many times I've watched college basketball outside of Syracuse.
Yeah. I mean, for those of you who are like, why are we even talking about this? We watched college basketball religiously for decades.
And we still do for our team.
I don't religiously anymore. I mean, to be fair, my team is awful.
And to be fair, you have 2 children.
Yes.
I religiously still watch Syracuse basketball, but I will tell you, I've seen some 30-point losses this year where I just turn it off at halftime because I'm like, this game is over. Like there's nothing coming back. But yeah, I mean, we used to go to games, we watch games, we'd know most of the players on at least North Carolina and Duke. And now I couldn't name one. I can name more.
I can name a few. I can do that because they have.
I can name more players on Duke for next year than I can for this year.
No, this year they have Filipowski.
Oh, that's right. You should have been able to name Filipowski.
They have Roach. They have Jamal McCain. So I can name 3. There's 1 or 2 others I just can't think of off the top of my head. Carolina's got Bacon.
Right, that's the charity guy, right? That's the guy that donates to charity. The power forward.
The one who's now the all-time leading rebounder in North Carolina history.
That guy, yeah.
They have RJ Davis, he's the ACC Player of the Year.
And you are again making my point.
Yeah, it's it is unwatchable and unfollowable for the most part, unless you are at the school. And that that you're talking about, Greg Sankey's talking, the commissioner of the SEC is talking about expanding this debacle. To watch what? What are we watching here?
The tournament itself is fun, right?
Yes,
okay.
It is.
The lead up.
You don't have to know the players to enjoy the tournament.
No, you don't.
No, I said you don't.
Oh, you don't have You don't have to enjoy. Look, I am going to be rooting for every single underdog, right? Because there's no reason to root for a favorite. Because I've never won an NCAA bracket, and I'm not about to this year either. I mean, I'm just not. So, and little do we know, in 5 weeks I'll probably be getting the check. But the chances of me winning this are slim. So why not root for the underdogs at this point? Like, it makes sense, right? You root for those moments. You root for the great moments, the Bryce Drews, right? Sure. The even Lorenzo Charles, going way back to when, who still claims.
Wow, do we have any watchers who actually know who Lorenzo Charles is?
Probably not. My brother definitely does not know who Lorenzo Charles is.
Does your brother know that the NCAA tournament is started?
I think he does, but I'm gonna ask him. I think he knows that it starts. I don't think he knows even more than 2 teams in it. He knows Arizona, and he probably asked me if Syracuse was in it, which they're not, and neither is Maryland. Before we jump off of NCAA basketball, first of all, Syracuse has already lost 2 guys to the portal.
Significant players or no?
Pierre Copeland and Justin Taylor. One starter and a 6th man. 2 sophomores. Chances are we will be losing an assistant coach today. The heart and soul of Syracuse basketball, Jerry McNamara, will likely be becoming the head coach at Siena. Which is a good spot for him, right? I mean, that's as a first head coach spot. That's not bad.
No, not at all.
Look, my thoughts on Syracuse basketball. I think eventually he is the guy after the guy after the guy, right? Jerry's going to come back, and he will be the guy at Syracuse in like 4 years once Autry goes bye-bye, because he's the heart and soul. But other than that, yeah, I don't got much love for this NCAA tournament. Yeah, I know we had games yesterday, or is the games today? First games of today?
Yeah, there's 2 games tonight, and then it starts tomorrow at noon.
So we got tonight Grambling and Montana State, and Colorado and Boise State.
That sounds much more interesting for football.
Yeah, Division 3 and then Division 1.
Take his team to the Smurf Field.
Well, I mean, that's the Division 3 championship, right? With the HCBUs, with Grambling and Montana State. And then we got the Humanitarian Bowl with Boise State and Colorado, or Deion Sanders at Boise State.
By the way, you should read the article. There's an article in The Athletic about Sanders, how he refused. He has no interest in pretty much for recruiting. He doesn't want to go to anyone's houses or travel anywhere, because his feeling is, if I have to go to one school, then I have to go to the other school, all the schools, because I'm Mr. Prime. I'm Coach Prime.
Yeah, and that's kind of the way that works, Deion. I mean, I hate to say it, but that's kind of the way that works. To be fair, looking at the over-under for Grambling and Montana is 134. So that's a 67 game. That's pretty low scoring to me. 134. It's 143.5 for Colorado and Boise State. If tickets are $17 and $19 if you want to go to Dayton. Not really sure I'm going to Dayton.
I was going to say, have you ever had any interest in going to Dayton?
Syracuse played at Dayton once not in the first 4, but actually as a first round. And that year I did want to go. Unfortunately, I had midterms in law school, so I wasn't able to go. Before we jump on to my brother, you know what happened last night, though? You know what happened? Baseball kicked off. We had real baseball games. We had baseball games in Korea, but we had real baseball. Yeah, we had baseball last night. The Dodgers played again. I don't remember who they played. Hold on.
The Padres.
Yeah, Dodgers played the Padres. Right. And
how can a $1 billion lineup have Mookie Betts playing shortstop?
Why not?
Because he's played shortstop like 20 games in his career.
So there's a couple of things going on here. First of all, Mookie Betts is now the most valuable fantasy player.
Great.
By far. He will be the number one pick, or he should be the number one pick in every draft, because he will be playing. He has eligibility at second base. In 14 games, he'll have eligibility at shortstop, and he had eligibility at outfield. My God, this guy is a great player. But look, they had a problem with Gavin Lux. Gavin Lux developed Mr. Steve Sax syndrome, and he couldn't make the throw from shortstop.
Oh, I didn't know that.
They moved him. He also had elbow surgery, but they couldn't.
That I knew. I knew he was out for a lot last year.
Yeah, he couldn't make the throw from shortstop, so they moved him back to second, and that's where Mookie Betts was playing. So they were like, oh, well, hey, Mookie, you want to play short? And he's like, sure, why not? Look, for all the money that Mookie Betts makes, and he makes a ton of money, it's hard not to like that guy, right?
Oh, like, yeah. No, I get that.
There are lots of guys in Major League Baseball that you would say are overpaid. Well, they're all overpaid. But, I mean, but fundamentally, like, they don't deserve the money. If anybody deserves the money, it's him. He plays all the time, and he's playing his third position in 3 years with a smile, and good on him. We'll have our baseball preview next week, of which Seth will contribute very little. I will. I have my first fantasy baseball draft this week. Yes, I still play fantasy baseball, but I play offense only, no pitching, which makes it a whole lot better. And congrats on your Yankees, whose staff is being led by Carlos Rondon this year.
Because Marcus Stroman doesn't want to pitch opening day.
And because Garrett Cole's probably out for most of the year. I mean, They say a month, and then he'll be reevaluated. That sounds lovely. That's like Julius Randle being reevaluated, right? We'll see him when we see him, I guess. All right. So we're going to bring my brother on very shortly. Seth, before we go, I did not pick a women's bracket champion. Did you?
No, I mean, I don't do a women's bracket pool.
I'm actually surprised, because your Maryland Terps are in it, as are my Syracuse Orange. Did you even know they were playing?
Maryland was the last pick in the when the brackets came out.
So they are a 10 seed, and they play on Friday at 7:30 on ESPN2. Syracuse plays. It looks like we played the TBD game. So we played they have a first four in women's bracket. Yeah, they do. Wow, I didn't think they had this. They have a first four. So we played the winner of, I don't even know what, we're Regional 3. We're in Portland. We played the winner of Auburn and Arizona. So yay. And we play at 3:30 on Saturday. So I guess go Orange, go Terps for women.
Yeah, I mean, look, South Carolina is undefeated. So they're something. They're the overwhelming favorite. Iowa has Caitlin Clark, and they're the 1 seed. LSU's playing well. USC has Juju, who is just ridiculously good. Connecticut's got Paige back. It's a much better tour. It's a much more interesting tournament.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's understand that Seth was just able to name 6 or 7 women when he couldn't name more than 6 men in the tournament. No, that's not a rip on you. That's where your interest lied this year, in the fact that you were able to rattle off 7 women.
Well, Paige, Juju Watkins, everyone knows about at USC. Caitlin Clark, Caitlin Clark has more media acts, is the biggest name in college basketball this year, men or women.
Yeah, Angel Reese at South Carolina.
Angel Reese. Yep, at LSU.
LSU, excuse me. Yep.
That's right. South Carolina has been undefeated the whole year. So, I mean, you know about this stuff because it's honestly, they're bigger names at bigger. I mean, UConn's the number one team in the country. Name one guy on UConn.
Kemba Walker, Khalid El-Amin.
Khalid El-Amin is not walking through that door.
Richard Hamilton.
Not walking through that
Mecca
door.
Okafor. Wait, understand, I may be naming all these players. They may have a junior by this age, and they may be playing on that team, right? I mean, it's definitely a possibility. Okay, Seth, we know you got to go. We're going to bring in Mitch. Have a great week, and we'll talk to you next week. See you.
Have a good one, guys.
Bye-bye. Hey, Mitch, how you doing? You look like you are in your kingship. Let's raise the cat. There we go. Yeah, how you doing?
Good. So first, the first four for men's basketball was last night with Colorado. So they played last night. So I was paying attention. Yeah, I was paying attention. They played last night.
No, I don't think so.
Yes.
Hold on.
The first four was last night.
Oh, okay. So who won?
Colorado.
According to this, they play today.
I thought they played last night. They had a story on it. So maybe
Colorado
today.
State played last night.
Colorado
Virginia.
State. Yes.
Right.
Colorado State beat
Wagner
Virginia.
played Howard. So two of the first four played last night, and two of them played tonight.
Yeah. Right. So Colorado State beat Virginia in the first four last night. You said, when is it starting? That's when it's starting.
Yep.
So also, does Boise State play on a blue court?
No, we were establishing that. They do not. I do not believe. I'm going to look it up now, but I don't believe they play on a blue court. But let's see. This is the. I'm going to bring it up. Hold on 1 second, please. They just unveiled a new court. I'm looking for a date. Well, this is 2013. That's not helpful. This is a long time ago. At the Taco Bell Arena. That's
sure.
So the Taco Bell Arena is now called the Extra Mile Arena. By the way, it is not
the Extra Mile. That's sad.
So their outdoor. Yeah. So their outdoor basketball courts are blue, but their indoor basketball court is a pretty. I mean, I like it. It's a great floor. Let me see if I can. According to this, it's one of the ugliest. Hold on. Let me see if I can bring this up. Here it is. So this is what. Why won't this work? Oh, can't bring it up for some reason. All right. Anyway.
So here's another thing about women's basketball that I wanted to say. You have like all of these next level friggin' amazing women, and college is selling out left and right. You know, for Iowa, they're saying how like games have been sold out all year, and an average ticket price now is like the hundreds of dollars for Iowa, and you know they do have a legit shot of like getting to the Final Four. And you know what's going to come of this? The WNBA is still going to suck next year.
I mean, what? So let's talk about that before we go on to hockey. What do you view as sucking? You see, to me, it's certainly empowering to women, right?
What I'm saying, Sean, is the game is going to get better by having all of these amazing next level women in the organization, in the WNBA. Sure, the skill level is going to be high, but their ticket sales are still going to suck. They're not going to make nearly as much money as the men ever. And yet you're already showing how you know more of women. So the lower end male basketball player that you don't know that gets drafted later in the NBA is going to make infinitely times more money than the first person that's drafted in the WNBA that you do know.
Well, of course. I mean, that's neither here nor there. One is men's basketball with revenues that are far exceeding that women.
No, absolutely. No, this is my point. So, like, hopefully we'll see some parity in the next few years. At least
there's
some more
no
parity.
way you're getting parity. It's until the women can A, sell out their stadiums, every stadium, or get get the ratings that the NBA gets, which they won't because people don't watch the
Watch the
WNBA.
NBA. Exactly. This is my point, Sean. So like, it's great that we have that there's better skill and better games and better women and better. You know all these people, but in reality, the March Madness, the tournament is going to really be the best place for these women to show off their real skills, because when they get to the WNBA, I just don't think that's an avenue. Like, other countries have better women's professional basketball leagues than the United States does.
Well, no, I think they have higher paying. I don't think they have better.
More popular.
Well, here's the thing. The NBA this year, it's on the NBA to promote the WNBA. It has been forever. They've been propping them up forever. And this year they incorporated, and we talked about this previously, they incorporated the WNBA players into All-Star Weekend. And that certainly brought forth some attention to the WNBA players. Sabrina Ionescu certainly got more attention. The Olympics this year will bring attention to the women's game. No question about it. So they are higher paying jobs outside of the United States, certainly. But better basketball players, I would disagree with that. I would wholeheartedly disagree that the basketball itself is better. I'm
not saying the basketball is better. I'm saying the leagues have a higher esteem in other countries.
See, and I don't believe that. I believe that they are just higher paid. How much do you watch Russian basketball? What are the ratings even in Russia, where Sue Bird and Diana Taurasi played for all those years? Not high.
Do you know what the national sport of Greece is?
Probably basketball.
Basketball.
Okay, where is Giannis playing?
Well, I'm not, but that's male. When I went to Greece, I went to a women's basketball game. It was an exhibition, admittedly, but that place was sold out.
Agreed. But the money is not made in the stadiums. The money is made in TV. It has always been made in TV. The NBA during COVID, it was the NFL, but let's equate it the same way. The NFL said, if we can only put 25% of the people in the stadium, I would rather put nobody in the stadium, because I'm not making money on the people in the stadium. My money is made on TV. So if the NBA or the WNBA, who has put more games on TV, can get more money that way, the problem is people don't watch women's basketball. They just.
Well, I'm still waiting for the WNFL. When that happens, I'll pay attention.
You're not getting a WNFL. Anyway.
I know. Anyway.
Okay, so we brought you on to talk more about the NHL and where we are right now. And if you look at the standings, we're coming down to the wire, right? We got about 10 to 12 more games in the standings. And we're going to talk more. We're going to start in the Western Conference, where you have Winnipeg with 90. I mean, the Central is ridiculous. So Winnipeg, Colorado Avalanche, and Dallas, 93 points for the first two, and then 91 for the second. The first wild card is Nashville at 84. So you're not making up 7 points in 10 games. Unlikely to make up that many points. And then you got Vancouver, who has led the entire way somehow.
Yep.
With 94 points.
They got rid of Travis Green, and all of a sudden they got better.
And then Edmonton 3 games in hand with 86. The Kings with 81. And then you got the wild card with Nashville and the Golden Knights at 84 and 79. So if you're looking for a true race in the West, Minnesota's got 76, St. Louis has 75. They got to make up 3 points on Vegas, or 6 points. No, they're in the Central. Or 15 points, which they won't do. So they got They got 3 points on Vegas. Vegas has a game in hand. I don't see either one of these teams making up on Vegas. I think Vegas is actually not only the wild card, but I would probably put them as favorite against most of these teams.
I think Vegas's dark horse status has evaporated, but I do like them making the playoffs.
What do you mean by dark horse status?
I'm saying I don't see them as being like the dark horse in the playoffs. I think everyone knows what Vegas is capable of, and obviously they won already. They're not going to make some oh, look at us, we're in the 8th seed. We're not really that good this year. Well, they're your dark horse pick. I don't see them as the dark horse pick.
Right.
I see Edmonton as the dark horse pick.
Well, your video is conked out. So hold on a second. I'm going to add you back. I'm just seeing a black screen, buddy. Okay, there we go. So look, I picked Edmonton at the beginning of the year to make the finals. I still believe that they will. They need some pretty solid goaltending to get them through the next couple of weeks, right? I mean,
yeah.
Right now they're the number 2 seed in the Pacific. Offensively, they are a powerhouse. They are
always been. Yep.
And if you look at part of what I was looking at was the individual stats of them, and I was actually surprised that Connor McDavid has only scored 26 goals this year. He has 82 assists, which is off the beaten path. And I didn't realize Jack Hyman has 46 goals. So, I mean, that first line of McDavid, Draisaitl, and Hyman has certainly powered this team. Can they continue with basically one or two lines win a Stanley Cup? That's the answer there, right? Do they?
No, but I'm just saying I always kind of think like Edmonton sort of due. They're sort of due for a deep run kind of thing. I mean, could you imagine hypothetically if Connor McDavid plays his entire NHL career with Edmonton and never wins a Stanley Cup? I mean,
yes, I can. It's called Mike Trout. It's
right.
Every sport has guys like that, right? Ted Williams never won a World Series, right? Ernie Banks never made the playoffs. I mean, you have guys like that in every single.
I know. I'm not saying it doesn't exist. I'm saying what a heart, kind of like, oh my God, that would suck so bad,
Well, I mean, look, what happens is one team wins a cup every year, right? So I mean, you had Ray Bourque not win it for 20 years, and then year he gets traded and wins one, and they traded him to win it, right? So the thing is, for some of these guys, and we'll get to some of these other guys, but some of these guys do you want to stay with one team or do you want to win a cup, right? Do you want to You want to be on that one team? And there are, I mean, you got Connor McDavid, you got Draisaitl, right? Draitsait's in the same boat, right? You look at some of the, I mean, you look at the Maple Leafs, right? If you want to say Austin Matthews or Michael Nylander, I mean, none of them Matthews will get, in my opinion, he'll be 1 and 1A with McDavid over time. Those two guys are obviously the best in the sport. But if you look at Mike Trout, same deal. Mike Trout has made one playoff run, and he has never made a World Series, and he's never in the playoffs. And he has been the best. He's 33 years old, and he's been the best player in baseball for the last 10 years. And he's just not making the playoffs. But all right, so if you're looking at the West, how are you handicapping this? With 10 games to go, how are you handicapping who's coming out of the West and why?
Well, I watched the Islanders Blues game. That's a whole nother conversation right there.
But in this equation, so
they could be. They're not very far out of the wild card. They have a couple of games.
They're 4 points out, and Vegas has a game in hand.
Right. So I was about to say that I watched the Islanders Blues game, and I don't think the Blues have enough steam to get into the playoffs.
Okay, so
I think I think they're definitely out of it. Anybody below the Blues right now is out. So
Okay,
I think you're really only talking about what the Wild. The Wild is the bubble, right? So I think it's the question is, will the Wild do the Wild have enough to get into the playoffs? In that in that scenario, I don't think they do.
Okay, so how do you handicap the West? So assuming the Wild's not in it, you have your 8 teams. You have your Jets, Avalanche, Stars, Canucks, Oilers, Kings, Predators, and Knights. How are you handicapping the West with 10 games to go?
Handicapping. I don't know what that term is.
What are you looking at? If you had to pick a conference final right now,
Oh,
how would
conference
you
final.
what are you handicapping?
I am going to say the conference final is going to be the Jets, and I think I'm just going to go with the Jets and the Avalanche. I think that those are probably your strongest teams. Nathan McKinnon is an absolute disgusting beast in Colorado. I think they have strong goalies. I think Vancouver, they're doing super well, but they haven't made a playoff run in quite a long time, a deep run in quite a long time. So there's attrition that comes into it, experience that comes into it, fatigue. So I think that Colorado is going to make. In fact, I would put Colorado in either my Final Four or my Final Two. I mean, I think that they have deep run experience. I think the Knights are going to.
So the only way that happens is if the Jets become the number 1 team over the
team.
Canucks.
Yes, I know, but they have 93 points, and the Canucks have 94 points, and they still have. I mean, I definitely think it's doable.
Yeah, no question.
That's why I picked it like that. I think
the other way is that the Avalanche with 93 and who have won 7 in a row could become the number 1 team in the conference as well. So they've won 7 in a row. They're 9-1 in their last 10, and they're only a point behind Vancouver as well. So I mean, anybody in that Central Conference, again, 93, and 91. Vancouver's at 94. So anybody could catch up to Vancouver in the next 10 games.
It's insane. It's also insane. It's also insane that the Blackhawks could get technically the number 1 pick for the second year in a row.
Sure.
And the guy that's even coming out this year, I can't remember his name, but everybody's making a big deal out of him. And like him, and I mean that team, yes, it's on a major rebuilding streak, but that rebuild could take a lot shorter than people expect.
Oh well, of course. I mean, when you get you could do the opposite. It's Macklin Celebrini.
That's him.
You could do the opposite of what the Oilers did, right? The Oilers squandered 3 number 1 picks in the 2010s, right? With Nugent Hopkins, Caprati, and I forgot the other guy. They had 3 number 1s in a row, basically in a row. And, McDavid was the third. Excuse me. So they had 3 and they squandered 2. And you could definitely get that rebuild because these teams are tanking, right? And the way that tanking works in the NHL is, unfortunately, tanking is highly incentivized in the NHL.
Highly.
So the top 16, the bottom 6 teams have combined a 70 to 75% chance of getting that number 1 pick. So if you barely miss out on the playoffs, you really have no chance of getting that number 1 pick. And the Sharks, who have a 22% right now, they're in last place with 39 points.
With 39 points.
And Chicago is second, and I believe they have a 17.5% chance along with the Ducks. So the Ducks have lost 7 straight. The Sharks have lost 5. And the Blackhawks are surprisingly 4-6-0 in their last 10. But okay, so we got about 10 minutes to go. So let's move on to the East, where you have the Bruins at 97 and Florida 94, running away with the Atlantic, right? I mean, Toronto's not making up 9 points.
Rangers are at 94 also.
Right, but the Hurricanes have 92. So those two, so you're basically playing for third place in those divisions. Really, Toronto probably has third place wrapped up with 85 because Tampa Bay has 80 and they're next.
Yeah, but Tampa Bay's won 4 in a row right now, so they're on a little bit of a streak.
Yeah, but they got to make up 5 points, right? And so they got to make up 5 points. Detroit sitting at 76, but 2-8 and 2-8 in their last 10.
They had that terrible 5-game losing streak or 6-game losing streak right before they beat Columbus a couple of nights ago. So yeah.
And then you have the Capitals and Islanders, and the Islanders have sunk their chances at 5-4-1 in their last 10, 68 games. The Caps have a game in hand over the 2 over the Red Wings, 1 over the Islanders with 2 points up. And then the Sabres at 71. So
yeah, well, let me say this. One, it's interesting that the lowest team in the East, which is the Blue Jackets, have 58 points, and 58 points is more than 3 teams in the West, almost 4 with Arizona. I think the Eastern Conference is a much stronger conference this year. Again, despite the fact that the points aren't equaling the same, like 94s, 93s, something like that, but the competition level in the East I feel is significantly higher than the competition level in the West.
Yeah, but the ebb and flow of conference play is all the time, right? Sometimes it goes up, it changes from conference to conference, and the way that the schedule is now played is you play far less games against your division than you did before, so it's less important. The conference points, right? Because everybody plays Edmonton twice. Everybody plays Winnipeg twice. This is back like when we were kids, right? Where it was much, except for the fact that you don't play within your division a lot more. You play within your conference a
lot more, right?
But
I'm saying
that makes sense. With the wild cards the way that they are, that makes sense because the wild card is across the entire conference, not just in your division. Makes perfect sense.
Well, I think. Tonight I'm heading to Detroit to go to the Detroit Islanders game tomorrow. So I mean, that's what hockey people like to call a 4-point swing, which could be a make or quote unquote make or break game for the Islanders for sure. I don't think they're totally out of it. I think that losing 5 in a row did not help at all, considering if they had won even 3 or 2 of them, they'd be tied with Philly right now. So,
this all goes back. This all goes back, and you're talking to 2 Islander fans, but this all goes back to the fact that they have 15 overtime losses, right?
50, right, exactly. Brendan Burke actually said that if they split that 7 and 8, really, 7 wins and 8 losses, they would be not only in 3rd place, they'd be in 5th place in the conference.
Yep.
I mean, geez, those overtime losses just destroyed us. But the thing is, the Islanders are not the only one with a lot of overtime losses this year. The Bruins have 15 overtime. No, the Bruins also have 15 overtime losses.
They also have 41. Yeah, but
that's my point. They have a lot of overtime losses, but they have 41 wins. So
they have 32 regulation wins, and the Islanders only have 21. That's a big problem, right?
That is a big problem.
So for the Bruins, the concept is if they were going to lose, they lost in overtime. For the Islanders, they lost, period, and then lost in overtime. Those are big differences. Those are really big differences. So the Bruins have lost in the shootout losses 3 times. The Islanders have lost 4. The Bruins have 3 shootout wins, and the Islanders have 1. So they also have a plus 45 goal differential.
Right, exactly.
Minus 23. So I mean, you're comparing apples and oranges.
No,
here.
I'm just making a comment that they both have 15 overtime losses.
Yeah.
That's it. But in the East, the dark horse by far is the Florida Panthers. Again, they are going to make another deep run, especially with their acquisitions at the trade deadline. I follow them pretty heavily. I think that they are a very tight team. I like their chances in a big way. And as painfully as it is to me to admit this, Sean, the Rangers are going to win probably at least the second round. I don't see them winning the conference, but they're going to make it past the first and second round for
All right,
sure.
so handicap who's coming out, the top two teams in the Eastern Conference Finals. The Eastern Conference Finals.
I know. I'm thinking. Hold on. I don't know. It's a toss-up between the Bruins, Panthers as one. That's a toss-up. And the Rangers are going to go to the conference finals and lose.
Okay, so my two conference finals are the Carolina Hurricanes and the Tampa Bay Lightning. Coming out of – because much like the Lightning love to do, Mikhail Sergachev is going to come off IR and be a 20-minute defenseman for them.
Right.
Do at the end. And Carolina with Getzel, I love Getzel. I think that's a huge addition to their team. And yeah.
Well, with my 3 minutes remaining, I'm going to say this. The NHL this year has turned – I watch the NHL, and I sometimes think I'm watching the Flyers of the 70s. There is so much head hitting this year that it's starting to look like an NBA game a little bit. There's all kinds of elbows to the head, shoulders to the head. People wearing face shields they're wearing face shields. They come off and then they get hit and they have to put on another face shield. Like there's more face shields this year in games that I've seen. I think that the new kid for the Rangers, Remke, is a friggin'. I think he's a thug. I think he's a thug. I think he's watched too many Flyers games from 1978, and but the NHL, they want to see more hits, more action, more. I just think that we're going backwards. We're turning to a little bit thuggy in the game right now. But overall, it's a very exciting time to watch hockey. I've taken several people to hockey games this year, and they're all like, "Wow, we had no idea it was so fast, or so exciting, or wow, or so cold." Because you're in arena, or But they all walked out of that experience going, "Wow, that was like a circus on ice." Right? Okay. They love the game.
So I got a minute left, and we'll talk more next week about our baseball preview. But for those that would like to feel old, Tidge Iginla, who is entering the NHL draft this year, as we were just talking about the NHL draft, is Jerome Iginla's son. And he is already 18 years old. So if you want to feel old, if you're our age, that's old, because Jerome Iginla was a 20-year-old draftee traded for Joey Nieuwendyk, I believe, in the 1990s. So I feel really, really old. For Seth
who do you got for the whole thing? We got 52 minutes, 52 seconds.
Well, I'm going to stick with what I had originally. I have Edmonton. I believe I said originally Edmonton over Toronto, but I'm going to say Edmonton over Carolina.
You have lost your mind with Edmonton.
I may be,
but
okay.
But I'm saying Pajama Boy is going out in the first round again. And I will enjoy his sweet, sweet tears.
Okay. For Mitch Byer, I'm Sean Palmer and Seth Kamens. We'll see you all next week. Have a great one, everybody. Bye-bye.